till you bottle. Ride it on the edge. One mistake away from gravel, a glory's ledge. Push it past the limit. Don't you lift or break. If you're not dancing with disaster, you're not wide awake. Throttle till you bottle. This is how we race. In the fire of endurance, we find our place. Side by side into turn 3. Drafting down the straight like we're born to be. F1 pace with an LMP soul. Pit stop dreams, flat out goals. Overtake clean or defend like hell. DRS wide and the gap won't dwell. Discord's lit but the track comes first. Champions are built where the tires burst. Throttle till you bottle. Feel the G's rise. Tearing through the sim world under pixel skies. No reset button, just grit and gears. Through the heat and the heartbreak, the wins and the tears. Till you bottle. It's the racer's creed. Full send in the sim, full heart at speed. From rookies to vets, we ride the storm. In lobbies where legends are born. Camaraderie and chaos, rivals and mates, one shared love. Those checkered flag fates. Throttle till you bottle. Ain't no turning back. Burn the line till the screen fades black. In this digital circus, we chase the flame. One will spin closer to fortune or fame. Throttle till you bottle.
And that's an issue. But now sign language isn't needed because you hear my beautiful tones. It's round 2 of Season 5. Tier 1, TTYB. The odd-numbered rounds are all sorted. The even-numbered rounds, though, you unlucky bunch, you're under mine and Rio's jurisdiction. So, all the mystery awaits, and now to reveal what round number 2 is going to be. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's no easy way of putting this. It's Monaco. You're off to Monaco. So, yeah, that's the end of the story. Enjoy. Have fun out there. Don't crash. Good luck. I'm joking. I couldn't be that mean to you. Not yet, at least. We've still got a litmus test to do. We've still got some battery to try and organise. So, I think we've got to take it a little bit, somewhere maybe a little bit wider, a little bit more prestigious, perhaps, even than Monaco in some ways, because behind my beautiful face is exactly where we are going. Strap yourselves in, because we are off to the British Grand Prix for round number 2, and immediately we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what a hot lap looks like. So, saving the battery down towards the final couple of corners, flick it up into medium, using all of the track, and now it's time to blaze the battery, activate the straight line mode, and slam on the boost. Battery power all the way down to that first corner, the Abbey curve, and then into Farm curve. A tiny bit of a lift into the first corner, a big lift into here. Keep it in medium. The rear of the car wants to snap away. It wants to rotate. It's absolutely on the limit. Keep it in third gear, though. Get the traction. I washed out a little bit wide. I will confess, this was the first qualifying lap I ever did of Silverstone. So please don't roast me. Towards Brooklands corner, a little bit of a super clip, a big lift, and then after the 50-meter board, down to fourth gear. You can be confident on Luffield midway through. Get on that power. Even earlier than that, you can absolutely plant the power, have the confidence in the car. Tiny bit of a boost, and then you want to super clip into Cops just a little bit. Hold it into medium, and then keep that battery going, keep it flowing, and then slam it down. It's all about the saving. You're preparing yourself through the hanger straight from Maggots and Beckett down to fifth. Then aim for the exit curb, blaze on the overtake and the boost. power all the way down through the hanger straight until you have absolutely no juice left to give. A tiny lift into Stowe corner, down to 6th, again wide, ignore me, but you're boosting on the exit, nothing left to give, a lift in towards the final 2 corners, hold it in medium, take more curves than you think you can, avoid that last sausage curve, boost all the way to the line, and that is a lap of the British Grand Prix, a 1:27.389, my only qualifying lap, and that's the end of that. It was atrocious, I will admit. There was a 26 in that probably quite easily, but regardless, that is the challenge of Silverstone. Speaking of which, welcome along, drivers and viewers alike, to a quick recap as well of round number 1. Shoutouts to Rio Harris, who commentated round number 1. It was a glorious set of commentary. I very much enjoyed it. But we had a sprint race there, and, of course, it had to be. The sprint sensation was Sheehan, the Welsh wonder, taking the first win, technically, of the season, and then, by default, becoming the driver's leader. The leader of the driver's standings after that sprint. But then it all sort of unravelled come the actual race itself. You had Mackie winning. Mackie winning in Kota. And I think that's all the illustration you need into how incredible this is going to be. Carl here means serious. Hello, Adam. I don't try and keep it serious. To be honest, it's probably be the most unhinged I'll ever be. We'll find out, though. Mac won. I'm going to call you Mackie to keep it clear. Whatever the case, it was the return of the Mac, which was very impressive indeed. Hello, Rio. Welcome in. If you're wondering why it's just me in the commentary box, by the way, one Carl Paranik, it's because Rio has abandoned me. He's off racing. Unbelievable. So I've been left on my ones to try and discuss all of the goings-on at the sumptuous Silverstone. Speaking of which, it's time for qualifying before you know it. And as Mackie rightly says, abandon the session as well. Rio's already disconnected, and that's not an ideal start. Regardless, Silverstone, the birthplace of Formula 1, the home of British motorsport, with American Express as a sponsor. It's not quite what I had in mind, but loads of historic corner names. Many an historic moment in Formula 1, from Copse Corner, the old Turn 1, Maggots and Beckett's, the Hanger Straight, Stowe Corner, that fast-flowing section. Battery management is going to be critical here. Hence why Rio and I chose this track, to be honest, because battery management is going to be essential around this particular venue. There's no question about that. It's so tricky to get it right. Those that are maybe patient, it will reward them. Patience is a virtue. We are in the pit lane for qualifying for round number 2. We currently have 20, well, I do have 20 drivers. I thought there was 21 for a second. That's because I didn't put myself in spectator. And as you can see, my first round in TTYB with the 2026 cars, which I will say now are absolutely glorious. I love how sharp they look. It's so much nicer, so much more authenticity in the aesthetics department than the 2025 cars and ground effect preceding it. But then there's the battery. Oh no. But enough about that. For the time being, at least, welcome along. We have some names to discuss in this F1 grid. Of course, you've got the old guard, the regular camaraderie in the form of Sneck in the Aston Martin, Infiniti in the Ferrari, for example, Yuri, the Flying Dutchman, in the Haas car. Excuse me. The Welsh wonder Sheehan in the RB. Rio Harris in McLaren, our Season 4 champion. Chowdenby, a double champion of TTYB, in the Red Bull Ford, a glorious looking car and sounding car by extension. But there are plenty of fast names waiting in the wings. Mackie winning the first round, leader of the driver's standings for Tier 1. Absolutely unbelievable. There is cookage to be had in TTYB. In fact, scratch that, it's Brian that leads by 1 point. Because the sprint apparently is... I've got sprint is cracked and there's points galore. But the point is, it's 1 point between Brian, who has F71 in his name, in the Cadillac. A lot of you might well know, notorious figure, in, no surprise, the F71 scene. Adam Sanderson's league, it was a dynamic duel, a championship crusade between himself and Tiamat Marduk in a realistic championship, which came down to the wire at the Hungarian Grand Prix. A superlative showing from Brian took top honours. He's here to try and conquer the TTYB scene. But there is fierce competition here, there and everywhere. One of which is the man taking up first to the track. The RB driver of Sheehan. again, luck eluded him. You can't exactly blame me either, because it was Rio commentating. I had nothing to do with the proceedings that happened. But Sheehan had to make a late call for soft tyres. It all unravelled towards the end, hoping to put the wrongs very much right at Silverstone. A glimpse of the British crowd that are here to survey the occasion. The RB driver is going to make their way through the final couple of corners, and this will be an exhibition in how to set a lap time around the Silverstone track. Goes for the none mode and then the boost out of the final corner onto the Hamilton straight, through Abbey Curve, keeping it in medium, I would imagine, still foot flat to the floor, and then it's that lift that you want, lifting a bit later than I did in my practice lap, but there is no judgment there, because who knows what's fast? I didn't even know what's fast. That was the one lap I did. I have no idea if that's good, but through the left-hander, battery to burn, all the way down the straight as the Aston Martin had a psychological advantage. I believe that to be of Sneck, who's on an outlap. Very interesting. Cutting Brooklands absolutely brilliantly. A purple sector one, courtesy of the fact Sheehan is the only one to have set one. Keep your eyes peeled. There's the likes of Infinity, Herbie, Highwire, and a smattering of others on laps, including our champion, our double champion of TTYB, Chowdenbeat, who resides in 14th. That will soon change, I have no doubt. Sector 2, where it is so tricky to save the battery. Sheehan's done a very good job, at the moment at least, of saving it. I believe has kept it in medium mode to carry the momentum. Has he saved enough battery? That's the big question. The answers will be found in a matter of moments. Another purple sector, Sector 2, again, the only one to have done one. But then it's Stowe Corner, down 3 gears to keep the car in the power band, burning all the way out, holding it briefly in 6th gear. Now, just slam on the anchors. The final 2 corners await. You've got to burn the battery up to the line. Sheehan crosses the line. The benchmark at 1:27.770. That is mighty impressive indeed. Highwire across the line with a 28.9. Those times will just get thicker and faster as we go. Mackie, our race winner in Kota, currently residing in P4 as Infinity goes into P2. Chowdenbeat bails out into the pit lane. Rio Harris, resident commentator, has invalidated his lap. That is less than ideal. Not good at all. It's Mac 1 that won in actually, in fact. Unbelievable. I'm confused. So there's Mac 1 and then there's Mac E. I don't understand. I don't understand. Either way, Mac 1, the cutthroat Croat, who won the previous race, hasn't set a lap time yet. Mackie, though, has in the Williams. Happy days. The Alpine driver of Mac 1 is currently on a lap. Kev goes into P5, the Romanian George Russell, with a 30.3. Where on earth is Mac 1 going to reside, though? The race winner from last week, pipping Yuri to the post. No mean feat in the TTYB scene. And through they go, through the first sector split, a 27.8. Rio is on a 27.6, though, so there is plenty of time to find in that first stanza of the lap. The car wants to wash out hopelessly wide throughout Luffield Corner. You can see agonisingly soaring away at the front end to try and bite it into the apex. Not going to happen, though. While he's on the first half, Sneck is very much conquering the second half of proceedings. Through the final sector, Stowe Corner first. Car complying beautifully, much faster than the real Aston Martin. I am not sorry. Through the final 2 corners, hello Capit! Welcome in. You're about to see a barnstormer of a lap from Sneck. Towards the line we go, and it's fallen flat at the final hurdle. A 28.4, though. Happy days. Good stuff. Across the line goes, I believe, the Williams car. That is of Mackie, who's going again. It might be a double push lap. It's a strategy I've seen relatively commonly used in the grand scheme of things, as, well, Mac 1 has had to bail out of his particular lap time. Rio with a 27.9 through the first sector. Just under a 10th off what the Alpine driver, last week's race winner, could accomplish. But it's the second sector, the battery management, the rough going, where it really comes up trumps, as Chowdenbeat's retired from the session. Did he have like a quali ban or something? I have no idea. Yuri's 4/10 off the pace set by Sheehan, who has got to grips very much so with the Silverstone track. Duty up into P3, a fast flyer in qualifying. How is my resident commentator? The notes profit. Read all about it. Front page, back page. It was wide at Stowe Corner. That's not the main headline, though. Through the final 2 corners goes the McLaren Maestro. Tanidran in P11. Where's Rio Harris going to go? It's P4 with a 28.4. It's poetry in motion. It's not a bad banker to set. Sheehan, though, with an absolute corker of a first lap. 27.7. That's a hell of a benchmark. And that's probably with knowledge of how to do a qualifying lap round here as well. Fair play. I respect it. Sheehan on another outlap. Not that it will show us where he's going. Now he's out of the pit lane. There we go. Still, well, he's clearly going into Village Corner. There we go. There is Sheehan. Currently provisional pole sitter. What about the rest of the competition, though? Mach 1 is going round Stowe Corner and has not, crucially, invalidated through the final 2 corners. And Capit has told me some critical information. That is very useful indeed. That child of me is skipping all the qualifying sessions this season. That's fantastic. Mach 1 crosses the line. And look how close the margins are between P3 to P6. It is a joke. Less than a tenth of a second between Duty down to Sneck in P6. And those margins will just compress further and further. Herbie with a great lap in P7 in the Audi car. Vorsprung durch Technik from the German team in the British environment. Which might not end well. Jensen Hookie, though, trying to hook the car up, has hooked himself up in P13. 2,000ths ahead of Tanadran in the Haas. Only one driver yet to set a lap time out of the competition as we approach the fulcrum point here in qualifying. That driver is Nolla in the RB, who has just started their lap. And speaking of RBs, that makes me hungry for a scintillating hot lap. Through Village Corner goes Nolla, who got a real psychological boost when he gained about 8 or 9 positions throughout the first stanza of the US Grand Prix last time out. So hopefully that's confidence he can take with him here today. Blast the battery down towards the sector split. It is a 27.6 from Nolla. That is rapid. We'll see what the battery says. The rear tyre's already complaining, though. The car's incredibly on the nose. As on the nose as they can possibly be. Absolutely unstable, but you want to carry as much cornering performance as you can while saving all the battery you can. That's the key conundrum that setups have to solve. We don't know what the setups are going to look like as Mackie goes into P8. 2 tenths off Mach 1, which is going to royally confuse me, in the Williams car. I would say go Williams, but unfortunately I've lost the steam for it. Now here's Nolla through the second sector split, a 4.3 in the middle sector. No slouch of a lap from the RB driver. It's going absolutely full send, which is no surprise because it's a qualifying session, but still, impressive pace from Nolla. Just the final 2 corners to traverse. Takes it, I'd say, relatively tentatively into the penultimate corner. Still with plenty of battery to burn. Across the line goes Nolla into 10th place. Slap bang in the middle of the pack with a 28.773. Good little lap there. Sheehan is on another lap in the meantime. It's 400ths down currently on the benchmark they have set. In theory, trying to put this qualifying beyond doubt. It's whether they've saved maybe some more battery or taken some more confidence into this last sector. Sheehan across the line to try and improve the time, and it's not going to happen. Out of juice. It is a trip. It's a retreat to the pit lane, possibly. Yuri is 8 tenths down in the first sector, which is less than ideal. No one really finding the improvement. Sneck is, though. He's a 10th up on his time currently. Call 118, though. Someone call help because he's out of juice. Completely. All out of steam. And into the pit lane he goes for some revitalization and resuscitation. Jensen saying that was a stinker of a lap for 29.5. Well, the expectation just went sky high. Brian Evans. Here they are in the Cadillac. As off some rallying goes a Haas car in the foreground. I imagine that's Jensen. He's going to go through Stowe Corner. We have not seen the full hand being played by Brian Evans. There is no shot. We know how quick Brian Evans is. We know how ruthless his race pace is. Qualifying, though, is the big fish. Get yourself up the grid. Less cars to deal with. Less chances of being caught up in the chaos. Brian Evans, ready for a flying lap of fury and fire in the Freedom Machine. Through the first corner they go. Looks promising. Looks fast. You hardly know, though, because it has to be a lift and coast and trying to set yourself up through Village Corner and then through the left-hander. Taking a slightly narrower approach. I feel like 2026 cars are very much point and shoot in these F1 2026 cars. But Brian Evans going to try to travel through the first sector split with a 28.4. A lack of pace for the Cadillac car, although it might be all to save some battery later. That's exactly what the Cadillac is doing. So watch on board. Watch the battery being deployed. A tiny little bit of boost towards Cobb's Corner for the F71 champion. And then it's full throttle. Hold it down. Keep the car hunkering into the bitumen. Beatsy's joined. Get in. That's what we like to see. Again, saving the battery, still at about 50%. It's about the marks that I had on my lap, but it's a different strategy. That's what I like about the battery deployment. You just don't know what it's going to give. 1/10 down on, I believe, what is his personal best time. Although don't quote me on that. Through the final couple of corners goes Brian Evans. The front end washing out wide. Through Stowe Corner, trying to find all the pace. Herbie's moved up into P3. That's a corker of a lap from the Audi driver. The margins compress further. Through the final two corners goes the F71 champion. It's a 28.9. And I must say, I am surprised. I am very surprised. My expectation was elevated extremely. The moniker of F71 champion, the moniker of pipping Tiamat Marduk to the post, is no joke. Still a hand of cards to be played, I am sure. He ran rampant in the race. I wouldn't say it was a lack of battery, to be honest with you. He had about the same amount of battery as on my practice lap that I showed at the beginning. He had about the same amount of battery going through Maggots and Beckett's. So I would have thought there was an opportunity for something big to arise, but alas, there was not. Ferrari is going to go through the final couple of corners. Double G, double barrel, locked and loaded to send in a sledgehammer. 3/4 of a second worth of an improvement, but it's only going to elevate them to P14 for the moment. Other drivers on laps. A McLaren going across the line. That's of Tanadran to start a flying lap. Sneck will cross the line to start another flying lap. They're right on cue. Ferrari into the pit lane. That will be of, is it Ferrari or is it an Audi? No, it is. It's Infinity into the pit lane. So invalidated their lap time, but there is still time to strap on some new tyres and get out there and put down the power. Mackey's going to cross the line to start a flying lap in the Williams car. Meanwhile, Jensen Hookie has been hooking up some laps. He's into the 28 to 28.998. Fantastic stuff. It will be the calm before the storm at this particular stage. Jensen set a lap, Double G set a lap. Adam the Explorer has set a lap. Of course, famously, brothers Todora the Explorer, which is an excellent partnership, particularly if you are in Spain. Tanadran looking to go on strong. He's apparently 10 seconds down in his time, though, and that's not ideal, and he is indeed saving the battery. Going for one more coast lap, just to save the car as much as possible, and then go full send. Sneck is going full send, absolutely, through the Chapel Corner, hoping for the Exorcist to dish out some unholy pain on the rest of the field. A 4.0 as the second sector split. It's the fastest of the session. Through Stowe Corner. What's the battery situation? Minimal is the answer. The car's going to cough and wheeze towards the final two corners, but it's going to have to be full send. Not as much braking to do. Battery to burn. Big slide and snap. Out of the final two corners, Sneck moves up to P3. But with some composure, it could have been oh so much more. Tanadran will begin another flying lap. Rio Harris is very much on a flying lap. One Papaya Pro starts, the other one very much on it. 5/10 up on their lap. It's a purple sector 2 for them. About a 10th off what Sneck had at the time, but save some more battery. It will fall into your favour towards the final two corners. It's still not that much. The car will wheeze all the way down through the final two corners. Keep the aerodynamics complicit, though. Complying the car does. Towards the line, Rio Harris moves to P2. Less than a 10th off Sheehan, but the marker for our provisional pole sitter is still safe. Warning signs, though, for the Fury and fire from Faenza. The Woking base team have the answers, and others will as well. Make no mistake about it. Mach 1 starting his final flying lap of the session. Tanadran has started their final flying lap. They've just gone through Cobb's Corner. The keyboard warrior now to save the battery through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Lift off again if you need, down to 5th. Soon as you are pointed like an arrow, hurtle the battery into the bullseye. Blaze it all the way down. Get a cheeky slipstream from the Red Bull ahead if you're feeling so inclined. However, the Red Bull dutifully lets the McLaren through. No distraction for Tanadran. Through Stowe Corner, car complies, coughing and wheezing, quite possibly, out of battery once again. Through the final two corners goes the McLaren Maestro. One is in P2, the other one is going to improve meteorically up to P12 at 28.951. 2,000 off usurping Highwire. That's just how close the margins are. But look at this, the lap times are going to flood in. Sneck is going for a second push lap on those tyres. The Haas of, it will be Jensen going through the final corners to start his final flying lap. Sheehan better hope he has the gap in order to not be distracted by the dirty air. He's going to try and conquer the Silverstone track one more time. Fasten your seatbelts, lean forwards in your chairs, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it gets sweaty. Rio also going for another lap. Another push lap on those tyres with a distant tow from the Haas car. That will be of Jensen Hookie. Never mind, there's another white car. It's Brian Evans. Scratch that. What do I know? We'll see what Brian Evans has at his disposal as well, as the Romanian George Russell bows out. A 29.4 is all they could muster. Highwire moves up into P11, the second Mercedes of duty, starting their final flying lap, but it all falls to the Williams crew. Mackie will not cross the line to start another flying lap. A 28.656 is all they can muster. A Red Bull of Beaksy will be the first to cross the line, in order to try and challenge for higher positions, in order to try and challenge Sheehan, who has been in a class of his own up to this point. Only the commentary crew, Rio Harris, can try and lay down the gauntlet to the Welsh Wonder. Beaksy, the 29.7 with their sole flying lap. It is absolutely commendable. Sneck through the final two corners, a couple of temps up. Car compliant that time. Oh, it's so close. It's 600ths off. Still, Sheehan's time remains safe. A McLaren goes into the pit lane. That's of Tanidran. There will be the Haas of Jensen Hookie next across the line. The 28.6 into P9. Sheehan across the line to improve by a tenth of a second. Rio Harris, what kind of surplus of improvement does he have? Battery to burn. Could it be pole? No, it can't. A flummox in the final sector. Nola with a cracking lap time to move up into P5. We haven't spotted Yuri, though. A quarter of a second up. Have they saved the battery? Have the tyres stayed alive? Yuri Arens moves into P4, stays there, in fact. The fourth driver to go into the 27's, duty ever so close to it, moves up to P5. Laps flooding in thick and fast at the end. But wow, from the word go, he was invincible. Sheehan's pole position remains safe from the very first lap time. And that's exactly where they will start. A clear track ahead of them at the birthplace of Formula One. In the inception of the 2026 cars in TTYB. Sheehan once again does the business over one lap. And could it finally be a race win in the main event? All questions that will be answered in due course. Mach 1 as well, with a 6th place in the end to propel themselves up. Mackie saying they had 8 temps up on their time, but no battery left. It is the agony of these regulations, which is both a blessing yet a burden. It all depends on perspective. Sheehan is our pole sitter for the British Grand Prix, the mystery Grand Prix of round number 2. Sneck in P2, Rio Harris in 3rd with Yuri in 4th, Duty, our second Flying Dutchman, in 5th, with the Croat Cutthroat in P6, Nola, Herbie Infinity, and Brian Evans round out the top 10. Mackie, Jensen Hookie, Highwire, Tanidran, Double G, Adam the Explorer, Romanian George Russell, Fortis, Beaksy, Chowdenby, and James round out our grid lineup. And so, we arrive to a bit of a break. The rules, of course, in TTYB, you need to wait, I believe it's 5 minutes off the top of my head, just to make sure that drivers can hone in their strategies, their fuel strategy, etc. I will say now, as a bit of intel for people who are, you know, considering strategy and considering fuel loads, fuel-wise, I would urge caution about going too low. I did a practice 50% race, got up to about half distance. I did -1 lap down on fuel, because usually you can save the fuel at a rapid rate of knots. That didn't happen at Silverstone. It didn't happen at all. I gained about 0.2 laps in the time that I had. Not enough. So, I will say exercise caution on the fuel. Maybe half a lap down at a maximum. But then it's TTYB. You can almost guarantee there will be safety cars. Speaking of safety cars, it involves itself in strategy, and that's what we'll talk about next. It's an easy one-stop. It is an easy one-stop. Mediums to hards under general running. But F126, the thing is, from what we've seen so far in league racing, it's a bit of an undercut meta. If you know the tyres are going to last, they will hold the pace, and you know that if you're leeching yourself out of battles, that you will have much more pace. then it's better to pit maybe a couple of laps earlier than your competitors. Of course, you run the risk of burnt Mylander, shoving... That analogy could have gone differently. But the point is, while you run that risk, you also have a great chance of getting yourself ahead, saving the battery afterwards, and you're having the newer tyres, and then you can just focus on your own race. Yes, they might catch up, but the point is, you have the ability, therefore, to dictate your race. There's no battles, there's no hold-ups, you just leather it. So I would say mediums would take you to about lap 10, maybe lap 9 if you're feeling really adventurous, and then box onto those hard tyres, get a couple of laps of undercut, and then there's all the potential from there. That's not to say the newer tyres won't do the business, but it's just me brainwaving. You never know. Of course, our happy bunch in the TTYB crew would be mad. Like that. Soft tyres. Soft tyres for the Alpine. Soft tyres for the McLaren of Tanadran, for Fortis, for Beaksy. And all I will say is, you lot are mental. Why would you go soft tyres? One thing also is that tyre temperatures are interesting. The carcass temperature. The tyre model hasn't particularly changed from the 2025 cars. But what has changed, in my opinion, is the aggression of the tyre carcass heating. I think with absolute certainty, it's got significantly worse. So you have to be careful. The rear tyres are going to feel some pain with conventional setups at those minimum pressures. They will slide about. It will feel difficult to control, particularly as the tyre wear kicks in and you get through the stint. But these are all conundrums that our drivers have to solve. I can't solve it for them, as much as I would love to. But predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Predictions in the chat. Who is going to win the British Grand Prix? I am going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that Rio Harris wins it. I'm not biased. I know he's a commentary partner, but I think Rio Harris has a very good chance. Either that or Sneck. That's what I'm going to say. And the Real Capit, excuse me, says, Infinity P1, bet on the worst horse. But then it has the best odds. Just saying. What can I say? Or should I say the most lucrative odds? It has the most lucrative odds in the end. Sneck P1 and Rio P2 says Adblocks. I think that's a very good shout indeed. Will Sneck finally break his winner's drought? Will he break the curse of the commentator? In other words, the Carl curse. And actually finish in first place? We'll never know. Until the race has ended, that is. Then we will find out the answer. But that's a thing for another time. That was a hell of a qualifying session. And now the fun can begin. The home of British motorsport, RB on the right, Aston on the left, it's lights out, and away we go. And it looked like a very sprightly start for Rio Harris. It's an incredible start for Sneck, down the inside to try and take the lead. Sheehan immediately shuts the door on that opportunity, lifting and coasting into Village Corner. Sneck goes wide, misjudges the braking, through goes Rio Harris into the lead of the British Grand Prix highways. So incredibly wide. I saw a Mercedes car shoot across the grass and go do some lawn mowing. I did not want to say anything because it was going to make me howl with laughter. But Rio Harris leads in his full-time debut in TTYB. Yuri in second. Look at Brian. Brian gaining 7 places from the start, inheriting from the chaos of cars ahead. An absolutely scintillating start from the Cadillac. But now we arrive into Copse Corner. That's where we will see the battery saving come into fruition. On board with Yuri, chasing it down. Our Flying Dutchman, about 50% battery, lends itself to the Haas car. Brian with significantly less battery. Why has Sneck gone straight across the Maggots and Beckett's complex? More drama. Oh, Sheehan's round. Sheehan is round and there's damage on the front wing. For the RB driver, it was contact with Infinity, who I think has got away with no damage. Sheehan with the worst possible start. Yuri and Rio battling in towards the final complex. The McLaren will hold station. It's Rio Harris, followed by Yuri at the end of lap number 1. Brian Evans, the F71 champion, in P3. Mac 1, our race winner last time out, in P4 with Duty in 5th. Jensen Hookie is in 6th. What a start for the Haas team. 2nd and 6th place, the American dream, is well and truly ignited. Herbie making moves as well, round the outside of Sneck, trying to hold it side by side. Hope that the momentum favours them, and boy does it ever. The Audi plows on through. P8 is theirs for the taking, inheriting where they started in this race. Battery boost from Mackie behind. Sneck really struggling, is completely off kilter in this early stage. Of course, the contact would have done no favours in that department, but even so, it is the psychological consideration that we have got to take as well. The tyre situation, majority on mediums, the top 4 on mediums, because Duty's gone through into Cop's corner, burning a bit of the battery to make his way through, and then Mach 1 just sends it through once again with battery of their own. Doesn't opt to save before the Maggots Beckett's complex and reaps the benefits. Rio doesn't have the overtake mode, of course. A surplus of electrical energy to deploy. Yuri does have that. Brian Evans does have that. Look at the overspeed for the Cadillac, who sives on through into P2. It was a textbook move, academic with the amount of battery that they had. And Brian playing it smart at this early stage. We knew the race pace would be there. A full course yellow. It's a virtual safety car. I think that's Kev that's gone round. Yes, 10-second penalty. A big collision with Beaksy, who then, well, Romanian George Russell overtakes the Red Bull into the pit lane. Front wing damage equal for both drivers. And that means neutralisation. That means battery saving for all the drivers. And that's a reprieve for Rio Harris in P1. Can't have nice things happening for the Infinity camp. Well, he fulfilled that. Infinity's done a decent recovery job, considering down in P15. Now the lead of the Ferrari duo in P11, chasing down the top 10. The order as it stands: Rio Harris, Brian Evans, Yuri, Mach 1, and Duty the top 5. Nola in 6th place, with Jensen Hookie demoted to 7th, Mackie 8th, Sneck 9th, and Herbie in 10th. So the fighters at the front are expected in race trim, very much fighting at the front. In the form of Rio Harris, Brian Evans, and Yuri. Many drivers faltering though. Sneck in particular, Sheehan, a victim of many a contact. Poor guy cannot catch a break when I'm in the commentary box, I swear to God. Double G is a proper wheeler. As Capit says, they expect Ferrari to have a great chance at the Constructors' Championship. That would be beautiful, it must be said. That would be rather beautiful. Rio Harris gets up to racing speeds, and he's glad he did, because the virtual safety car is called in, and we are back racing. Yellow flag, I think, for Beaksy, who might well have just misjudged the safety car restart, but no harm, no foul. We carry on through Stowe Corner for the 3rd time. The McLaren driver has led every single lap so far. Brian Evans is hot on their heels, breathing down the neck of the Papaya Pro. And at this point, it would be interesting to see the battery management. I would also turn on telemetry to, well, show what's happening. However, I don't really want to do that, because last time I turned on telemetry, or tried to at least, in a practice commentary before this, it didn't go away. The telemetry stayed. Brian Evans all over Rio Harris, both on an equal amount of battery between them. Different lines coming in. Rio very much pointing and shooting the McLaren out of the apex, and that they do. And similar battery strategies, turning off the boost mode very early doors to get them down towards Brooklands Corner. Paramount, you have loads of battery. A Sneck makes his way through, down the inside. Tyres and car complaining as he takes so much speed into Brooklands, but does make it on through. Mach 1 in P4 has been compromised. Tried to make it through on Yuri. Not going to work out, though, as off the track's gone Sneck. More issues for the Aston Martin. Started so far towards the sharp end, and it has unravelled in a big, big way. Again, equal amounts of battery between the two competitors, Brian Evans and Rio Harris, burning now towards Stowe Corner. To be honest, Rio could sit behind Brian Evans. There's every reason he probably should do that, but he's going to defend regardless. Thinks he can fight it, knows he can fight it. It's side by side between the F71 champion and the man from the commentary campus. Rio is going to slot in behind, have the overtake mode. Duty has gone round the outside at the left-hander into the right. Here, towards the Hamilton straight. It's not worked out. Mackie then has the momentum on the outside himself. Fastest laps reigning in a 30.8 for Mackie Mackie, that is, in the Williams car in P8. The top 9 all within a second of one another in terms of gaps, not in terms of overall time. Mackie's gone through on Jensen Hookie meanwhile. Absolutely relishing and reveling in the new regulations as round the outside the Williams driver tries to go. Jensen equal to it, but Then it's the battery to deploy down towards Brooklyn's corner. Rio Harris retakes the lead with that surplus of battery. Sheehan has boxed for hard tyres in the meantime and is going all guns blazing, a 30.5 in clear air. It's a case of when you pick your battles. I've alluded to it already. Mach 1 and Duty just battling for fun out there. Hards versus mediums. Mach 1 knowing the Hards are going to go into a realm of their own. Not before too long. Side by side through Cop's corner. Great racing between the Alpine and the Mercedes. Both British-based teams, both with a point to prove. Mackie goes through on Jensen Hookie at Maggots and Beckett's, but then the Haas driver with an insane slingshot through Beckett's, and then into Chapel. Duty goes round. Duty spat off into the grass, maybe even into the barrier. Does well to keep the car on the straight and narrow. Rio holds the lead in the meantime up front. Mackie does finally usurp the Haas driver. Go Williams. Briefly. Herbie also finding a bit of a boost. Jensen Hookie down the inside. Not done yet is the Haas driver. Snex Tyres protested the abuse. Exactly. P17. And if that isn't a protestation, I don't know what is. Through onto lap number 6 we go. Rio, Brian, Yuri Aarons, Mach 1, Noller now in P5 as a result of all the commotion. Mackie is not a million miles off being in that conversation. He's practically pushing the RB driver through the left-hander at the exit of the village complex. Now will burn every ounce of battery they have. That's not gone well. Whilst we've been not looking at him, Chowdenby's in P9. Chowdenby is in the lead train and on the soft compound tyres. A bold, bold strategy call from the Red Bull, but it is paying off. Mind the champion indeed, cap it. Because blink and you'll miss him. All eyes on Chowdenby. Mackie goes through on Noller in the meantime. P5 now for the Williams driver, looking to get even better placings in this race. Rio Harris through Chapel and onto the Hangar Straight for the 6th time. Brian Harris, I imagine, will retake the lead. He's got battery, but no, decides to save it. Try and force Rio to burn a bit more, and that he absolutely has. Mach 1 shows the nose to the inside, trying to pile on the pressure. Not going to do it at the moment. Yuri holds firm down the inside towards the left-hander. Yuri again squeezes aggressively to deter the Alpine from an assault. And so the assault is indeed deterred. Yuri holds P3. P1 down to P9, all within a second of one another. Lots and lots of battery for Brian Evans in the Cadillac. New team, of course, in 2026. And I'll be honest, I adore the way it looks. I do adore the way the Cadillac looks. I think the steering wheel model is nice as well, because it reminds me of my... Oh, that's rubbish commentary. Back to the action. Towards Brooklyn's corner we go. Battery to burn. Rio Harris has learnt his lesson. He is saving. Brian Evans is about equal on battery. And so it's even Stevens again. Through Brooklands and into Luffield corner. Big sandbagging from Brian Evans in qualifying. Could not get it right. Unless it was all a prelude for the race. Just a bit of practice as Chowdenby goes on through into P8. Burning of the battery. Excellent exit out of Luffield. Soft tyres still holding on pretty nicely. Not often that you see asymmetric liveries. Exactly. I like the uniqueness of it. Really do. It's beautiful. Feels like we've been on about 20 laps, but it's only lap 7. I will also admit, I'm being casseroled in this office. Chowdenby spots his prey up ahead of Jensen Hookie. Brian Evans spots his prey of Rio Harris, but does not have an answer. Mach 1, though, the hard tyres finally have activated. Afterburners deployed. P3 for last week's race winner. It is ultra competitive in TTYB Tier 1. You're seeing it visualised in front of your very eyes. Massive snap for Jensen Hookie, who made a marvellous move on Noller to get through into P6. The car complained a lot at the exit of the final corner, but still on the straight and narrow. P6 has 4th and 6th at the moment in this race. We're going to ride on board with the champion for a moment. Because what a drive they're having. Holds it in none to get the traction. I like your style. Exactly my motto as well with these 2026 cars. Towards Brooklands corner, Brian Evans not going to overtake, and neither is Chowdenby. Saving battery as much as they can in the train. Don't go too wide. Chowdenby will slip on up the inside. He thought about it. The golden carrot was dangled. Not going to do it at the moment, though. Yuri closing in on Mac 1 on board with the Haas driver. Again, more saving to be done. I will say exercise caution, again, on one other thing, and that is how you lift and coast. It's very easy to misjudge the closing speed. Extremely easy, in fact. And people will be caught out by it. Drivers trying to, well, save the battery and then defend as a parallel. And Mac 1's got a great chance here on Brian Evans, deploying everything there is to deploy. Electrical energy into the skip. Brian Evans covers the inside. Mac 1 says, all right, hold that, hold my beer. I'm going to try and go around the outside. Brian Evans says, you know what, fine. Countered. And Yuri now is going to take advantage down the inside. At the final corner, was round the outside at the penultimate and retakes P3. Romanian George Russell is no longer connected to the session. Not ideal. And again, the top 9, the very hungry Caterpillar, goes on to lap number 9. Rio Harris still leads. Brian Evans in P2, Yuri in 3rd, Mac 1 in 4th, and Mackie in 5th. Absolutely excellent. As if I didn't need confusing enough. Both drivers up at the front have absolutely figured out the battery management. They know exactly what the mantra is. Chowdenby in P8 at the moment. On the softs, though, and holding pace. He'll be very pleased about that. Very pleased indeed. It's a beautiful car, the Red Bull Ford, as well. Absolutely divine. Mackie was very close to Mac 1, making a move there. Doesn't really do battery saving. Duty goes through into P14. Their road to recovery ongoing. Mac 1 versus Mackie through Maggots and Beckett. The Alpine wins. Short battle, but the war is not yet over. Particularly at the front of the field. Quarter of a second is the gap. Rio breaks the toe. Knows that keeping track position actually is a good place to be. So stays in P1. Brian Evans and Yuri with no answers. Mackie, though, does have an answer. And it goes from bad to worse for Sneck. At the exit of Chapel, once again, has dished the car into a perpetual pirouette. Not only lap 9 of this race, oh, how it's unravelled for the man that started P3. How it's unravelled for the man that started on pole, Sheehan. He's got some phenomenal pace, but no answers at the moment. Sneck breaks for the pit lane, does get the speed limit absolutely right, which is good news. Yuri against Mackie. Look at this. Down the inside goes Mackie. They're on the hard tyres as well. So Mackie and Mac 1, copycats by namesake, copycats by strategy, certainly putting on the show. Towards Brooklands corner, down the inside, goes the Williams driver. And this is someone that hasn't particularly been saving battery. They've got plenty now, but beforehand, they blazed it into oblivion. And yet they still had all the pace in the world. Is there something we don't know? Just cause a safety car to spice things up. I'd argue it's pretty spicy already. Cars within an A4 piece of paper of one another. It's exactly what we came for in these regulations. Yuri with a front row seat to the front two. Brian Evans taking an earlier apex. Rio, as you can see, prioritising the exit. Brian Evans caught napping as a result. Yuri wants this P2. Has battery to burn. Does not go for it, though. And Mackie will try and go on through. On the hard tyres, the medium runners do not want the hards. Taking the advantage. As into the pits goes Nola. That's exactly what I thought we'd be at in terms of the pit stop phase. Chowdenby stays out on track, but a couple of drivers in the lead trainer pulled the trigger. Nola and Herbie are the first to blink. And I said end of lap number 10 could be prime time. Get the undercut, get some new tyres on, and whilst others battle and try and pulley themselves along, you have clear track and you can get on down the road. And that is exactly what they are doing. Herbie and Nola meet their marks out of the pit box. No troubles at all in the pit stops. And away we go. That's the worst camera angle possible. Why am I looking backwards? Terrible. Herbie out the pit lane. We can see both of them. Sheehan is going to be in amongst it. Probably won't want to fight their teammate a huge amount on the newer tyres. And alas, they do not. Their teammates' tyres will be colder though. Sheehan's are all fired up. Albeit 8 laps older, but those tyres could last to the end of the race. I'm pretty confident about that. Herbie, though, immediately going to go on the offensive, potentially. Goes for the lift and coast. There's plenty of time to make ends meet. Duty's up to P10. What a recovery from the Mercedes driver. That is excellent stuff. Of course, courtesy of the drivers pitting in, drivers have been uncoupled from the train. Chowdenby being one of them on the soft tyres. Could be, you know, a good time to box and get the undercut. Mackey's blazed it through versus Yuri. Warning signs for the medium runners. Who dares to blink? None of the top 5 blink. Particularly 1, 2, and 4, who I thought would definitely blink. Chowdenby has blinked. Well, this is his race. Get an undercut. It's entirely possible to do. Herbie does get through on Sheehan. Nola and him will have had great pace on those tyres. We'll have a look at what the delta is. I can't quite tell. I'll do the leader delta to try and see what on earth that's going to muster up. And Chowdenby goes softs to mediums. Oh my god. Well, that's thrown the cat amongst the pigeons, hasn't it? Nola across the line to start lap number 12 in their own right, and they're going to go through on Chowdenby. The undercut proves extremely powerful. Look at the gap they have. Chowdenby is going to exit the pit lane, and the gap's going to be 4, nearly 5 seconds. That's an insane level of time that they found. Double G with the time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. As Capit quite rightly says, problems with the pit lane speed limit. As Rio Harris is getting away from Brian Evans. And the reason for that is because they're pushing to the limit. Blasting the battery. It's now or never. Push it into oblivion. Get into the pit lane. Nearly a second is the gap between Rio and Brian Evans. Mackey's going to make his way on through with the hard tyres, with the battery. Williams in P2. What a stint from Mackey, but Brian and Rio, no surprise, into the pit lane. Yuri chops across at the last minute to follow them in. Brian overtakes in the pit lane, but it comes at a great cost. A critical cost. 10 seconds penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Fortis does the same out of sympathy, I imagine. But that's absolutely shot the Cadillac's chances at winning, unless there is another strategy to deploy. Rio Harris onto the hard tyres. Watch Nola though. Watch Herbie. Where are they going to emerge? The McLaren and the Haas and the Cadillac trot out of the pit lane at no speed whatsoever. Ladies and gentlemen, your provisional leader is the Audi of Herbie. Nola in provisional P2. The 2 laps undercut has worked its magic, and Rio Harris is about to maul the Cadillac in the McLaren. Round the outside, psychological dent in the American dream has descended into a nightmare. And Rio, not wanting to waste any time behind Brian Evans, would do well to save battery, though. It's going to go down the inside of Brooklands corner. Last chance saloon. But no, momentum on the outside lends itself to the Cadillac. Mach 1 and Mackey using their own pace, essentially, to get on down the road as much as possible. Through to Stowe Corner they go. There's the Audi of Romanian George Russell. He's not the race leader, although, can we make him the race leader? That'd be cool. What are the medium runners thinking, staying out so long? I have a feeling it's going to be soft tyres until the end. That's what they're thinking, which is just ludicrous. Judy goes through on Infinity. Infinity Candy Flop. Sorry, Floss. Down to P5. And speaking of which, they are both flopping into the pit lane to get rid of those medium tyres. Right on cue. And indeed, Pat Mike, it's a Mackie 1-2. A very snacky 1-2. Food for thought for the rest of the grid. Hard tyres at this early stage doing the business. Rio Harris doing the business, going round the outside of Brian Evans, the double F71 champion. Rio Harris, well, with an outside-inside move like that, you'd be fair to call it a double entendre. Brian Evans says that's disgusting. Through I go back into P5. Battery to be saved. Yuri trying to threaten the McLaren's track position. Rio Harris dutifully defends, and on they carry. Duty will exit the pit lane down in P14 on the hard compound tyres, which is what I, well, essentially thought the strategy would be. Mediums to hards. Has the most tyre life. You know you can push it the most. Yuri goes through on Rio Harris. Into P6 goes the Haas. He won't watch this back probably, so he'll never know I said it. He definitely will know. Lap 14 of this race, we're past the fulcrum point. The story is this. Last week's winner, the inaugural winner of the 2026 cars, Mach 1 is in P1, Mach E is in P2, and then we have a shake-up of the order. Herbie and Nola, who did a 2 laps undercut, getting track position in P3 and 4. Brian Evans in 5th with a 10-second time penalty, though. Critically, that is going to shoot their race down into the doldrums. Speaking of which, to send them plummeting even further, Yuri goes through into P5. The Haas driver has revitalized themselves with the hard compound tyres. Wow. What driving. We are seeing left, right and centre as Mackie and Mac won. A mistake from Mackie, though. 2 seconds down. To be honest, they could pit now and get the mediums on and they'd be absolutely fine. But disaster for the Williams driver. Mac 1, completely comfortable, will stay in P1. Up to the pit stops, gap to the leader looks like this. Herbie on the newer tyres, 20.9 seconds is the delta between himself and the lead Alpine, who is yet to box. Mackie 2.3 seconds off the Alpine, now on the move and in the groove. That time will continue to cut down, 20.6 seconds. Not as fast as perhaps some might anticipate, but it is honest work. I think it's about 26 seconds is the pit delta, something like that. Using it to great perfection are these guys. With the preferred strategy, mediums onto hards or softs onto hards, depending on who you are, or soft onto mediums if your name's Chowdenby. It's just ridiculous, honestly. Not far off the competition up ahead. The hard tyres doing the business. Rio Harris looking to go through at Chapel Corner round the outside. That'll be a showstopper for the books. But a blockbuster British Grand Prix move eludes the McLaren for now. Still has plenty of pace in the tank, though. Brian Evans has no battery. In fact, maybe saving. Rio Harris has blazed all the battery. Wants the track position. McLaren versus Cadillac. Brian with that extra electrical energy at their disposal, though, keeps P6 at the moment. Still, Herbie and Nola holding firm, in P3 and 4. Yuri can't make it happen at the moment. Exceptional driving. Rio blazes through into P6 at turn number 1. Has overtake mode, and now it's a case of saving. Trying to hold that track position. Keep it in none. Get the traction, point and shoot out of the left-hander, and away you go. That is the game plan. Yuri looking to try and clear Nola up ahead, but has to play the patient game once again. Herbie and Nola doing an absolutely astonishing drive. Told you, the undercut could prove powerful, and oh boy, it has it. Jensen Hookie through at the inside of Brooklands, past Sheehan. The tyres of the VRB have very much fought the farm at this point as Fortis goes through on double G. Double barrel, locked and loaded. However, riding shotgun is Fortis. In a blaze of glory, P12 is in the Williams' hands. On to the end of lap number 16, and now, finally, the hard tyre runners will pull the trigger. Sheehan goes back through on Jensen Hookie in the meantime, through Maggots and Beckett. Has a piece of mind to say potentially about Brooklands, which looked like maybe a slight shove. However, resistance is futile. Through goes the Haas car, the American Dream, very much on carrying as Yuri makes the double move. Through into the lead goes the Haas driver. Where does Mac 1 emerge? It's going to be medium compound tyres. But where do Mac 1 and Mackie emerge in this battle, in the context of the cutthroat battle to the lead of the race? Yuri leads, Nola in second, Herbie in third, scratch that. Rio's looking to reimburse the podium places. The inside and then the outside line would do well to wait, perhaps, potentially. But a squirm on the power from the Audi, slaloming round the outside. Goes Rio Harris, that'll be the lead. Oh no, oh no. Infinity has had a big moment on the start-finish straight. I can only presume there was contact, but Capit is going to be blazing in the insults. Rio Harris having to save battery. Herbie's got plenty. There could be a move into Cobb's corner. Again, the chop across. You can never quite tell what the late move is to define. When you are saving as much battery as you are, Herbie's got plenty of battery, we know that. Rio, less so. He's doing the job to regain that battery power that they have. Onto the hanger straight. Yuri trying to escape outside of the 1 second barrier. They are oh so close to doing so, but it's going to have to be a little bit more of a wait. Chowdenby has joined the back of this queue in the meantime. All of the battling has brought the Red Bull back into the conversation. Softs to mediums, absolutely unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable, a potential move from Brian Evans, where there was giant contact in the middle phase of the corner. TTYB will get closer and closer, but the Cadillac through into 4th place. Yuri leads from Nola. Rio Harris in P3. Brian Evans, provisionally 4th, however, has the penalty next to his name. And you can't really dispute the speeding. He tried to go for glory, make the overtake into the pit lane, and as a result, he were on the throttle, and he bottled. Lap 18, let's look at some people. It's been quite quiet down here. Duty versus Fortis. There they are, in their own little train. James in the Alpine, who started last, is in P15 at the moment. Mackie looking to make moves on Sheehan. Rio Harris very close to Nola. Towards Copse Corner, they will go for the 18th time this race. As we enter crunch time, the strategies on battery usage, on battery blazing, all the rest will be at the forefront of conversation. Down the inside at Copse Corner, tries to go Mackie, just about enough space left. Sheehan forced wide by the end phase, just not enough grip to give on those tyres. The trajectory was all wrong, and as a result, Mackie with reticule locked on only one target, and it is a bullseye shot for P9. Gap between Mach 1 and the lead train is, at the moment, 2.4 seconds before the Alpine is coupled onto that on significantly fresher medium compound tyres. Yuri leads though. Nola still in the overtake mode zone with no battery whatsoever. Rio Harris has got a battery in the meantime. Mach 1 takes the fastest lap for 30.4. Which is pretty decent, you know. It's good pace. Compared to the competition ahead, I wish I had real telemetry because I couldn't tell you what that's like. Strikes confidence into defenders. Stoppable on his day. Achieving the believable. Thinking the thinkable. We've got to love it. Infinity candy flop. Honestly. It just rolls off the tongue, some of these names. I genuinely didn't mean to. But I'm glad the creative juice is flowing in a decent way. So there you go. Look at the helicopter shot. It's beautiful. Rio Harris. Right on the back of Nola. And I would say needs to get the move done. Make no bones about it. This is a diligent drive. A disciplined drive from Nola, but it can only last for so long. Around the outside at Chapel goes Rio Harris. Marvellous move. Blockbuster British Grand Prix set of affairs, but has he got enough to defend from the RB driver? Yuri spots an opportunity to escape. TTYB's up into P4. Has more battery than Brian Evans. Has more confidence than Brian Evans. And our two-time champion looking to try and triple on his investment in the championship crowns galore. Rio in P2 has overtake mode. TTYB in P4 on medium tyres. Mach 1 within 2 seconds now of the battle in front. Oh boy, and it's closing in. Capit is saying exactly what I was going to say. No matter what happens from this point, give your round of applause to Nola. In the podium places as it stands. Some battery management to burn, yes, but equally, what a drive they've done. To be in the thick of the conversation for the podium places for as long as they have is absolutely commendable. It's a brilliant, brilliant drive. But how long until TTYB makes it through towards Copse Corner? High wire now with the 3-second time penalty. It's Duty versus Sheehan through Luffield Corner. Down the inside, the Mercedes goes. That's 11 lap pressure tyres at work. Duty recovering up to the top 10 and could well catch up towards those other places, towards maybe even P7 on the trajectory he's going. Some phenomenal pace from the Mercedes. Plenty of points to gain. TTYB goes through on Nola. There's your battery saving. There's that race IQ from our two-time champion. And double trouble now for the top two. From the very back of the grid, he has arrived. Expect him. The rampant Red Bull has had a race-long resurgence. And after 21 laps, stares down the barrel of race victory. Very much a shot they would like to risk at. They would like to take. They save the battery through towards Village. Nola smells blood in the water for a moment, but it's Predatorial Instinct that is put paid to. Chowdenby carries on his way. Brian Evans now will try and pick the pocket of the RB driver and could well do so. This is their strategy, using medium down towards Brooklyn's corner to save the battery for later points in the lap. 100% battery, which is interesting, because really you want to be on 100% battery by this point, not much earlier, because you're wasting potential of harvesting. So meanwhile, Rio Harris moves through into the lead. Inside of Cop's corner, I hear you say. We've seen this one before, but look at the battery. Has nothing to deploy. Yuri is going to blitz him. So's another drive. Oh, Sheehan's gone. Puncher, front left. It was bound to happen. He can't get out of the gravel. Sheehan is stuck. He's going to have to do everything he can to get himself out of danger. There might well be the risk round of a safety car. Yuri goes through. Chowdenby, with the closing speed, has got it all crossed up and loses the podium places. Nola says, thank you kindly, sunshine. I will reimburse that happily. Sheehan is going to have to tiptoe back to the pit lane. And look at this. The candy flop will rise again. Oh my God almighty, never mind. Massive snap. They look like trying to scythe Sheehan down. And what is going on here? What is going on here? I have a feeling I know what's going on here. Unless they did an illegal overtake. But they're following Sheehan. I have a feeling I know what's going on here. As that block says, bro thinks he's Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, absolutely. Front left and all, you're quite right. And it's Infinity. With a gesture of kindness, pushing Sheehan back to the pit lane. Which, I know I've said candy flop a few times this race, as Rio Harris again retakes the lead of the British Grand Prix. Again, though, it's a strategy that could shoot themselves in the foot, and it really could. Infinity looking to push Sheehan into the pit lane. Beaksy's going to gain 2 places. Through goes the Red Bull driver. Sheehan at the pit lane at perhaps double speed. Quicker than they anticipated. And Infinity will do well not to push the RB driver, because they'll get a speed limit penalty. Words. Through goes Yuri. Through possibly goes Nola. Through might go Nola. Chowdenby's going round the outside, though. If you compromise your momentum by playing it tentative, another hungry shark is there. A hammerhead shark. For legal reasons, Chowdenby does not have a flat head. On to lap number 23 we go. Yuri leads. Rio second with plenty of bark and bite. But has to be smart. I think knows he can get the race win from this. But just has to hold it as close as they can. Chowdenby on the outside at Village. Can they make the move stick? Late on the brakes as they dare. It is confidence flowing through the veins of the Red Bull driver, who takes P3. Herbie's got past Brian Evans in the meantime. And look who else has joined the party. Mach 1 is here. Looking for a second race win. And I thought it was Double G having a moment. No, it is Infinity. In fact, getting out of the way of competitors. McLaren's Tanidran, Highwire and Double G having a battle. Through the Mercedes driver goes. Easy work, light work for the second silver arrow. Rio Harris has waited this time. Still doesn't have that much battery. Very interesting stuff. Yuri looks to escape. Rio just trying to hold on. Chowdenby might well have played it smart. And oh boy, he has. Infinity again getting out of the way of the battles. Highwire Double G. Fortis going through on Adam the Explorer. Side by side through the Village complex. Happy days. Yellow flag. It's Sheehan getting out of the way of a bunch of traffic. Has to be so careful not to hold up some of the drivers on track. James being one of them, but he will get some slipstream, some extra straight line speed as a result, and mosey his way on through into P13. Past Sheehan he goes. Lap 24, 3 tours to go. And Yuri, who, well, if you watched last week, came oh so close to winning in the US of A. Didn't quite materialise. He had to settle for second by 3 tenths on that day. Time penalties galore as well. Mamu, of course, inheriting from that. We had Stars and Infinity with penalties, who ultimately finished higher up But those time penalties will do no favours. Mach 1 is a man on the move, though. The race winner. The Lone Ranger in race wins at the moment. Makes up 1 place. That's 1 target down. 5 to go. Rio is closer than he's been before. A mistake, though, for the Cadillac. No, not the Cadillac, excuse me. That's Jensen Hookie that's gone round. And Mackie finally gets his man. P8 for the Williams driver. Here we go, out of Chapel, though. What on earth has happened there? Big moment. Rio Harris and Sheldonby. Nola's going to be back in P2 if they're not careful. Towards Stowe Corner. And Rio runs the risk of losing the overtake. Drama again. Mach 1 down the inside of Herbie. Target 2. Pounced on. Prized away. 4 cars to go now. Between himself and a second race win. While he might have inherited from penalties previously, there will be nothing lucky about this. Not even slightly. Nola back into the podium places. Rio Harris back well within a second of Yuri. Yuri with significantly more battery. It's a case of holding on to the overtake. Boy, does it have a surplus of pace. You can see that for yourselves. The hard tyres staying alive. We're seeing some medium tyre runners really struggling. Mackie being one of them. A 29.6 for Infinity. That is the fastest lap of the race. The top 2. Looking to make their own train. Uncouple themselves from Nola behind. Battery to burn into Cobb's Corner. Rio Harris will catch all the way. There's only 1 lap to go after this. Brian Evans goes through on Herbie. Always into Cobb's Corner. There is an opportunity to do it, and plenty of battery saved. He's used even more to keep well within the overtake range. On board with Mach 1, though. What kind of exit do they get? Chowderby on significantly older medium compound tyres. It's a case of the battery. How much does Mach 1 have versus our champion? Not enough is the answer. Track position will be held. Nola's going to hold on to his podium place at the moment. Plenty of fairy tales to be forged. Down the inside goes Mach 1. Brave on the battery, brave on the brakes. That's 4th place. A podium could await for the Alpine driver, but how much battery do they have? None in the tank. And when do they start saving? Well, they get themselves away for the moment. Last lap of the race, and this is where you can blaze the battery. Now or never. Rio Harris sends the car to the inside. He's got no electrical energy to play with in comparison to the Haas driver. And at this point, I would have some poetry to say where Yuri has completely wrapped up this race. The Flying Dutchman sails on through. Speaking of sailing on through, it's Herbie that goes on through. Brian Evans with a rare mistake. Jensen Hookie and Mackie, their squabble not done. The hard tyres definitely forging a better path. Yuri and Rio, hardly anything to separate them. A win on debut for Rio would be a fairy tale forged in the finest materials, as Sheehan sets the fastest lap on the hard tyres. And that right there really is the candy flop. Trying to go through at Maggots and Beckett's side by side. Look at the battery difference though. It has to be in the Haas driver's favour. What other fairy tales could be forged? Does Nola have enough battery to challenge? They could well do, but it's going to be all even Stevens towards the final corners. Fortune favours the intelligent. Patience is a virtue. And here at round number 2, through the final 2 corners at the British Grand Prix, he fought to the end in Rio. It's going Dutch at Silverstone. Yuri wins round number 2 of TTYB Season 5. That's a second and a first place, to the account of a man that's come oh so close the previous 2 seasons. Could this finally be their year? Rio Harris in P2. Nola takes a podium in the RB car. Mach 1, and Chowdenby. Nothing to separate them. A champion's drive from the back of the grid to take P5. Maybe hard tyres would ultimately have been the play, but woulda, shoulda, coulda. To be a stone's throw away from the front places. That is all the compliments you could ever give to Chowdenby. Herbie in 6th, Jensen Hookie and Duty get ahead of Brian Evans in the end, who has to settle for P9, courtesy of the speed pit lane penalty. Mackie rounds out the top 10. We wait for Fortis across the line, who does so, and RB is ready and in waiting. That's Sheehan, who is well, I would now try and get to 21, but I'm trying to figure out how to get to 21. I am really confused. How do you do it? I don't know how you get to P21 automatically. That is so dumb. I can't even do it. I'm going to complain about the spectator mode in a moment, but there we are. Jensen with a fantastic drive as well. P7 on debut from P12 on the grid. Front runners floundering in the early stages, but it brought the battling to a brilliant boil in Britain. Finishing with a flourish is Yuri Arens, a first win of the season at Silverstone. The mystery track has conjured up the magic for the Haas team. And the lead of the Drivers' Championship as well by extension. It's a brilliant, brilliant drive from Yuri Arens as the champagne flows after round number 2. Wow, what a race. I'm completely exhausted. It is so hot in this commentary office. Your accolades, though. Cleanest driver goes to Nolla. More points to Nolla. Fantastic. High wire with the most overtakes. Driver of the day, of course, had to go to Chowdenby. Fastest lap to Sheehan. Your race winner, though, the Flying Dutchman of Yuri. Rio Harris and Nolla round out the podium with Mac 1, Chowdenby, Herbie, Jensen, Hooky Duty, Brian, Evans and Mackie rounding out the top 10. You've then got Sneck, Tanidran, James Highwire, Double G, Fortis, Beaksy, Adam the Explorer, Kev, Infinity, and Sheehan rounding out our finishing order. Whew. And breathe, ladies and gentlemen. I am so sweaty. It's not even funny. Don't laugh. Stop laughing. It's not even funny. What can even be said at this particular point? Just crazy. Just crazy. And in the end, Rio Harris saying, well, so frustrating to get hit in the rear by Chris. We can interview him if he wants. I mean, I'm happy to do interviews, to be honest with you. If people are so inclined, get yourselves in the interview rating room, and I will interview a couple of people, and only a couple, because I am a sweaty mess. Extremely sweaty mess for that matter. First of all, though, to enter the commentary box, on debut in TTYB here in Season 5, Rio Harris, congratulations. It's a podium place. I feel like in some ways, it's sort of what could have been, which is kind of weird to say, but it's P2 in the end. I think the defining moment, as you said in the Twitch chat, was that tap from Chris. Just talk about how it went on your end.
I mean, it was fun. The qualifying, I bottled because I was 10th up into Stowe, went wide, got yellow flags, had no overtake towards Vale. Also, I apologise, my mic's crap on my phone.
No, you're fine. Mike's absolutely fine. Carry on.
But yeah, race was good. I was controlling it from the most part, and then it kind of took me out my rhythm a bit when Brian decided to go on my inside in the pits, and then obviously lost position to him, lost position to Yuri, and then I couldn't recover battery. I couldn't recover battery at all for anything, and it was just frustrating. But then obviously I actually got some, and then typically when I did, I get hit in the rear, so I had to use that extra 40% I had got back to catch up. But I mean, debut, you can't complain with a podium, although it's something which, like you mentioned, what could have been even, sorry. It was fun at least. It was one of the funner races I've done.
That's good. No, I'm glad to hear it. And podium on debut. Commentator meets commentator. Game recognises game. To talk about battery management, I feel like this is something we'll talk about for ages. But, of course, we chose the mystery track. We had an idea of what it was going to be like. I mean, it seemed brutal out there in terms of battery management, but what I'm going to ask is not necessarily if you found it difficult, because I'm sure everyone did, but more so where you saved the battery, where you deployed the tokens, because everyone seemed to have a different approach today.
Well, my main ones was Village, the Loop, Brooklands, Luffield, Cops, Maggots, and Beckett's. Basically, every single corner I saved at least some part. Because every single corner I was lycoing. Like, even through Beckett's, I was at least... Well, even from Magnus Beckett, I was at least 60% throttle. Because you have to do that much around Silverstone, which is just an absolute joke.
Yeah. No, I agree. Completely agree with you on that front. No, super interesting to hear about it. And strategy-wise, you went for the medium-hard strategy. That, I think, seemed like the preferred strategy today. Was there considerations of maybe other strategies, whether it was a contra strat or going soft medium like Chowdenby did today?
Yes, I was thinking to myself, when I boxed, I'd only just hit 60.
Mm.
I was really considering going to lap 18 to go for a set of the softs, just to have fun. But I mean, when you're fighting for the win, you don't want to take risks, you know. I mean, if I knew I didn't deserve to be up there, I would have taken the risk. But I knew I had the pace to fight, so I wanted to play safe. And I mean, I'm happy with how long I went anyway. 12 laps on the 25 cars. That's unheard of at Silverstone.
No, indeed. No, as you should be. I love the strategy. It's just an easy one-stop everywhere now because you just save tyres all the way through. It's brilliant. There you go. Mystery round number 1. I think we gave the people a good track, didn't we?
In the end, indeed, we did. I had to make sure I made a promise with Fortis that I wouldn't practice it, and I stuck to my word. The only track I raced before it was Bahrain.
Love it. Very nice. We then, well, next on the calendar, it's not a mystery though. It is the Madrid. I imagine we'll both be in the commentary box together, which will
I
be
will
great.
not.
Be great to have. Oh no, it's me again.
I'm celebrating my
Unbelievable.
18th.
Of course you are. Well, enjoy your birthday. I hope it all goes well. But as we head
Thank you.
into the Madrid, just a little bit of a preview. What can we kind of expect from that race? It seems a bit of an opposite, a bit of a polar opposite to Britain in terms of that battery management.
You can expect crashes.
Yes.
That's probably the main thing in Madrid. I mean, it's fun, right? I think it's a really fun lap when you get it right. Obviously, we know the track limits issue, don't we? In turn 5, I think it is.
Oh yeah.
But overall, I think it's fun. There is actually overtaking spots. Like, I mean, as stupid as it sounds, the banking's probably your best overtaking chance.
No, agreed. Absolutely agreed. Expect carnage and chaos, fundamentally. If my voice wasn't hurting enough after the British Grand Prix, you can't imagine how I'm going to feel after the Madrid, and I'm dreading it. So I hope you all
100%,
enjoy.
in it.
Oh, no, it is as well, you're right. As if I had more things to think about. Oh, well. We'll have fun regardless. Look, Rio, listen, an absolute pleasure talking to you. Well done out there. Commentators
Thank you.
on debut, getting a podium in TTYB. Something's in the air. That's all I'm saying. Enjoy your evening, man. Pleasure talking to you as always. Take care.
You too, mate. Thank you for the comms as well, my friend.
You're welcome. Anytime, man. Get back in the box soon. Enjoy your 18th, though. Have a good one.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. There you go. The prophet of notes, everyone. The prophet of podiums as well. On the 4th day, he called upon his followers and said, I will get a podium in TTYB. And he was right. He did indeed. Capit saying, as a spectator, I will love this every second of the Madrid. Yeah, I think I will as well, truth be told. My voice won't, but I certainly will. All fun and games that we are going to have. That has gone very quickly. I'll be honest with you. Scarily quickly, in fact, the British Grand Prix. We've been live for an hour and 20 minutes. And yet, that's it. That's the British Grand Prix. That feels like the longest and yet shortest race ever, which is extremely strange. But to wrap things up, to put a nice bow tie on it all. First of all, on debut, Rio Harris, well done you. I think it was 2nd or 3rd place in the end. Absolutely unbelievable. But then, alongside that, you had the race itself. Close quarters battling all the way through. And what it went down to, in the end, was a sensational slobber knocker in the final few laps. If contact hadn't happened, woulda, shoulda, coulda. But a dream result for Yuri, who carries on the podium streak. It's only 2 early days, but it's a podium streak nonetheless. Rio with a podium on debut, who I'm so happy for. And bowled over by Nolla. A podium for the German driver on British turf. And we're not going to go there, everyone. We are not. It's just a cracking result. So congratulations to him. If you did enjoy the British Grand Prix, we have a 100% race next week, and we are off to the Madrid. Strap yourselves in. We are in for a masterstroke of a race. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching this round of TTYB. Tier number 1. Of course, you don't have to wait long to get your next fix of TTYB. You've got tier 2. Not long after this. It's on Sunday, and before all of TTYB saying, oh, it's going to be the British Grand Prix, no, it's not. You have a different track for your round, so brace yourselves. You'll find out what that is in a couple of days' time. but the British Grand Prix, what a beautiful showing it has had. The Flying Dutchman is up and running, but there are so many hungry sharks in the wings. If you're watching and you're not following, hit that follow button, ladies and gentlemen, and also visit all of our social medias. We have a Discord and a YouTube channel, to name but a few of the social media offerings that we have, including Carrier Pigeon. Make sure you get yourselves onto those. You do not want to miss any of the latest and greatest of this marvellous league series. Whoosh. And of course, it goes without saying, thank you to TTYB for allowing me to commentate on all the action. It is a pleasure. It always is. I'm going to be able to be doing this more consistently now for reasons I can't say quite yet, but I will be able to in a couple of weeks. Madring is up next, 100% race. The battery's an unknown. The cars are still a bit of an unknown. That track is going to be an unknown. Just expect fireworks. I'm all here for it. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Carl Poranic. We have throttled. We have bottled. Make sure you take care of yourselves out there. See you next week. Good night.
Turn 3, drafting down the straight like we're born to be.